I did. I sent it to Courtney Peldon, and she's got more than a few good Sarahs as her clients. She has actresses that could really nail it. Fabiana Udenio, she would be perfect. And Courtney Peldon could get this done. Sarah needs to be a very sympathetic character. I'm not sure if you know the story. The character of Sarah gets married 8 times, and 7 times a demon called Asmodeus comes and kills the groom before they even leave the wedding hall. I mean, so the marriage is never consummated, but she's a widow 7 times. So it's important that we like her. And Courtney Peldon could solve this in 2 or 3 days. I'm glad you asked, Courtney. I know Courtney. No, I don't know her. We've talked. She seems open-minded, and we didn't talk about religion. We talked about what Larry McMurtry told me once, that I said, well, now I was a kid, but he lived in the same county, the next town over. Larry McMurtry told me, I said, well, what's the key to success? Lonesome Dove. He said, likability. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the 2 main characters have to be likable. So that's why when you asked me about who would play Sarah, it made me remind me of that conversation with Courtney, and 30 years before that, a talk I had with Larry McMurtry. He did not like this stuff like Less Than Zero and American Psycho, where the main character was the villain. He just totally rejected that. Maybe society's changed. Film going habits have changed. But Courtney, I'm talking about Courtney Peldon, talent agent, and I think she was an actress back in the day, but she understood, and she was shaking her head. She knew exactly what I was talking about. Probably went on too long, but I subscribe to Larry McMurtry's theory, especially every story has its own chemistry, but Tobit, which is what we're talking about, the girl who's victimized by the demon at 7 weddings. He disrupts, I guess every little girl prays that her wedding goes smoothly. I think Sarah's given up on that a long time ago with the demon. But Ms. Pelton could help us a great deal. I'm glad you asked. Very, very good question. Sure, Tobit is probably the greatest story never told on film. There's a silent, a couple of animations, and some short stories, basically from a Christian Catholic ancillary materials, stuff that's printed and filmed to go along with their Bible studies. But it's never been a feature film. I guess let me tell you the story. And I guess when I go to producers and people in Hollywood, filmmakers, I pitch it this way. It's 8 Jewish weddings and 7 Jewish funerals, because the story of Tobit is about a girl named Sarah. She is a pious Jew, preyed upon by a demon. The demon's name is Asmodeus, and she's been married 7 times, and 7 times the demon has killed her new husband before the marriage is even consummated. So she's at her wit's end. She can't handle anymore. The maid, the family maid, pokes fun at her, and she can't bear that. And then there's Tobit. Now, Tobit is going to be her father-in-law in the end, and Tobit is one of the most endearing characters in the Bible. He's a good man, charitable, pious, prays constantly. He gives good advice. He's very wise. When he talks to his, at the end of the film, when he talks about to his grandkids, in fact, a lot of Catholic scholars refer to a few of those books in the Bible as the wisdom books, books of wisdom, because they're full of. I tell you why people like Tobit is because he knows how to live. He knows the right way, and he's very likable. Both characters, Sarah and Tobit, very, very likable. You know, there's a lot of problems with Noah, problems with Moses, but if you ask who is the most moral and concerned about his reputation, not just with his neighbors, but with God, he's right up there at the top of the list. But they never made a film about it. Curious. I'd like to. I think just the 8 Jewish weddings and the whole idea of demonic murder will sell a lot of tickets. It's in Catholic Bibles. It's in Orthodox Bibles. It's in the back of a lot of Jews' family history. In the Bible, it takes place more like 3,000 years ago. They think it was written 500 years before Christ, and it's included in the Old Testament. I don't think people are going to buy a ticket to see a 3,000-year-old story. It's, you know, weddings or demons or whatever. It doesn't matter. So I've said my adaptation of the Book of Tobit in Amsterdam in the 1930s. 1941. Here come the Nazis, and they cart all the Dutch Jews off to concentration camps. Terrible story, but I put it in Amsterdam because of the geography. The story that's in the Bible, I don't know if people are really aware of this. I wasn't for a long time. About 3,000 years ago, the Jews in northern Israel were carted off to slavery, and they think it was between. They ended up enslaved between the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers. So that story is the original old story. My story takes place in Amsterdam and London, and because a lot of the story is between on water. It has to cross water, so it's set in Amsterdam. And okay, everybody that has read the Bible, and that's about it's Catholic Bible and Orthodox Christian Bibles. We're talking about 1.5 billion people. They know the end of the story. Tobit's going to die. He's 80 years old. We don't live forever. He's blind and feeble, but his most worry, his biggest worry is feeding his family, taking care of his family. He's always been a good provider, but at the end, he's going to die. We don't live forever, and so the question is, where will he die? Will he die peacefully in his bed in Amsterdam, or will he die a frightful, ugly death in a Nazi concentration camp? All the characters are Jewish. And so I thought it would be that theme or that question should be in the back of all the audience's mind as they watch the film. They know he's going to die. The question is where. So we've added a little suspense. The characters, well, of course, there's Tobit. Tobit's well over 80. He goes blind, prays to God that God will kill him, take his life, and call him to heaven. But God's not going to do that. It's too easy. And there's Sarah. Now, Sarah is going to be Tobit's daughter-in-law, and she's in London. They're distant cousins in the Bible, so they're distant cousins in the movie too. But Sarah is the young lady that's having problems with the demon, and she's about flustered out of her mind. She also, at the same time, Tobit asks for his death. Sarah also prays for her death. God's not going to do that either. Another character is Toby. Now, I was on the internet and looking at these strange debates that we have, and it was basically Protestants versus Catholics. The Protestants said Toby is not a religious name, and the Catholics were arguing back, yeah, it is. It's in the Book of Tobit. Well, the Book of Tobit is not in Protestant Bibles. I asked a Lutheran preacher why, and he said because it has magic, and that makes perfect sense. There is an element of magic in the story of Tobit. Tobit needs to go pick up some money in London. When Tobit was young, he put away some money in a bank in London. And now he's 80 and he needs that money to take care of his family because he's gone blind. So he sends his son. But Toby doesn't want to go alone. Who would want to travel alone in the 1930s with the Nazis controlling the continent and cross the English Channel, and then get to London and try to find the right bank? So Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, is sent to escort him and take him. Tobit prays for someone to come along to go with his son for safety and security reasons. I can't think of a better security guard than Gabriel, a real angel. So these two head across the Atlantic, and they meet Sarah. They stay overnight in her house, and you can imagine Toby. He had heard of her legend that there was a girl in London, a Jewish girl, a nice Jewish girl, who had been married 7 times, and 7 times she'd been widowed. And I'm sure he was a little apprehensive. My character in the story is a little apprehensive. I don't want anything. Let's just spend the night and we'll be out of here. I can't fall in love with a woman that's been widowed 7 times. And these deaths are not, when a demon kills someone, it's not pretty. It's not peaceful. It's unnatural. So Toby is a bit unnerved. And he and Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, no one knows that he's an angel. He's just a good guy that goes along for the ride to provide a little extra security, because Toby's bringing back a lot of money. Gabriel says, no, marry her, go for it. You love her. She's nice. She likes you. Nothing's going to happen. I won't let anything happen to you. In fact, I have a plan. And I guess that's where the magic comes in. So Gabriel introduces a magical solution that will allow Toby and Sarah to get married. So there are other characters, but basically Tobit is the father-in-law, Sarah is the daughter-in-law, Toby is the son, and he's going to be the groom, and then there's Gabriel. I talked to just by chance, a casting agent in Hollywood, and she doesn't deal with any of these people, but she said Mel Gibson would be a great Tobit. And I thought, that's right. I was honestly thinking of him when I adapted that, because I read the book of Tobit, and I thought Mel Gibson could knock that out of the park. And I think Tobit the story has so much weight. I don't think somebody can just walk off, get off a bus and play Tobit. I think it's going to take a lot of gravitas. But who better than Mel Gibson? If he would do that, boy, I would be elated. I'm not sure his people are even open to anything, and maybe they want him to go in a different direction, irreligious direction. Of course, he's made 2 great films about the New Testament, but I promise you he's not immune or opposed to doing something from the Old Testament. And I just challenge you and people listening to this interview to read Tobit. Email me and I'll send you a copy of the script. And I made that offer to a guy, and he said, no, don't show it to anybody. You can't show it to anybody. I said, why? He said, well, it's a script. They'll steal it. Dude, it's in the Bible. It's been around for 3,000 years. There's 1.5 billion young people that study the book of Tobit in church and in Sunday school. I think the nuns leave the part out about the marriages not being consummated, or they just leave the honeymoon part out. But I think even little kids know what a widow is. It's the woman and her husband's dead. Well, this happened 7 times to a girl, and she doesn't lose faith, and she prays that God takes her life, but she doesn't stop believing in God. I'm not sure who would play Toby. I think there's a little less weight requirement on that. Sarah is important. She's key. I mean, she has to be a sympathetic character. We have to like Sarah. And I was thinking of Mira Sorvino. I mean, when I'm writing it, I'm picturing her in my mind. I mean, the mighty Aphrodite. Who can forget that? I know that was a long time ago, but the character's been married 7 times. Now, how long is that going to take? And you know, knowing her father, you know, there's going to be an engagement period, long engagement period. So 7 weddings, we're talking about 10 years, more or less. And then what about the slowdown in the dating after she has about 6 husbands pass violently from a demon? I think her opportunities to meet new men are going to be spread out. So I don't know what Mira is playing, 30 to 40. I think she's 50 years old, but she looks 30, which would be perfect. And she has a lot of skills. She could do this without any doubt. Now, Gabriel, the angel. I think of kind of an Adonis character. And you know, Hollywood's full of those characters. Brad Pitt. I mean, I guess when I was writing this, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was coming out, and I heard some girls at McDonald's giggling, so I eavesdropped. And they're talking about Brad Pitt on the roof of the house in the Tarantino film. And I thought, well, that would be Gabriel. Now, putting all this together, it's not going to be easy. But I think, and I don't know who's religious or who's not religious. I think this film's a no-brainer even for irreligious individuals. Jews, Christians, Catholics, even Protestants. They might not like the magic, but it's the movies. Doesn't every movie have some kind of magic in it these days? And they're father-in-laws, brothers, sisters. It's it's a wedding movie. There's 7 weddings, so it's a family thing. The whole book of Tobit is about family. So I think it's a winner. Now let's talk about the demographics real fast. I'm not sure. I've done actually a lot of research on this, and I first learned that there are 1.3 billion Catholics, and 70% of them speak English. Africa, Asia is really growing. You've got the United States and, of course, Europe. Philippines, 110 Catholics. 110 million Catholics. And I looked at the statistics in Hong Kong. Even Chinese people are concerned that the Chinese are becoming religious. It's a threat to communism and communist rule. The Catholic Church is growing, and the cardinal, there are several cardinals in China, but the cardinal of Hong Kong is really beginning to influence people on a world stage. So if you make this film, if someone steps up and has the balls to make this film, there are going to be 1.3 billion Catholics lining up. They know the story from Sunday school, from when they were little kids. And add to that, I know there are 280 million Orthodox Christians. It's in their Bible too. So we're talking about Russia, Serbia, the Ukraine, uh, south southeast Europe, dominated by uh, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Armenian Orthodox, Ukrainian Orthodox. So you add the Catholic and Orthodox populations together, you're talking about 1.5 billion people. And you can't change the name. There goes your marketing. It has to be called Tobit. Those words are magic in Catholic ears, Orthodox too. He's a good guy. He gives good advice. He's charitable. He's pious. And they will go see the film if you call it Tobit. It doesn't matter where it's set. I think people understand that. And it's not a Catholic story, though. It's not a Christian Orthodox story. It's a story in the Old Testament where all the characters are Jewish. Well, all the characters in Tobit are Jewish as well. And I think there's 25 million Jews worldwide. So you add this all up, and this film actually makes sense. Why has this film never been made? I talked to a Irish Catholic priest in Dublin, and he said, well, there is an anti-Catholic bias. And I agree. I think people have been cowed by this all these years. The only feature-length film was a silent 100 years ago. And now there's been a lot of short films. You know, in the Bible, it only takes 8 pages. But I took each verse and expanded it into a scene. I don't know. It's 98 pages. The script's 98 pages. But the actual story that's printed in the Bible is only a few pages. And no one's ever stepped up to make this film. 7 weddings and a violent confrontation between good and evil, an angel versus a demon, big fight in the middle of the street, lots of special effects. Not necessarily expensive. There's only one scene where you would probably want to do that, and I'm not sure it's absolutely necessary to go overboard. Raphael kills the demon, wraps him up, rolls him down the street, and throws him in the river. You remember I was just telling you about the casting agent. She brought up Mel Gibson's name. I said, well, read the script and tell me what you think. She emails me back, this is Academy Award material. And I said, me? It's not, I didn't write, I'm not 3,000 years old. I didn't write it. No, she said, no, Mel Gibson. I said, you're right. And I mentioned Adam Sandler's movie portrayal of the jewel dealer. Should have gotten an Academy Award. I wouldn't be surprised if Mel Gibson, if he can ever get around to making this movie, he'll get robbed. I'm pretty sure. I think a lot of people will say, wow, Mel Gibson can act. He's an 80-year-old man, a pious Jew, in this huge predicament, blind, out of money. But he's so worried about his kids that he goes to extreme measure to make sure his son finds a wife. Now, the wife is problematic. She's got a demon haunting her. But he has faith. It would be good for Mel Gibson, I think. And profit. Forget all the Hollywood politics and the PR and the public relations people and the way they're going to spin it. it's a moneymaker. Now look at the demographics. 1.5 billion people know the story. Now, admittedly, not everyone has heard of it. You may not have ever heard of it, but I've just told you the story in as simple terms as I can. Demons harassing a girl and kill 7 of her grooms. Thanks. I appreciate you calling.